There's a lot I could tell you about sparkling water. The way it fills you up and hugs you in almost the same way that food does. When the bubbles fizz through your mouth and through your stomach and through your illusions. So just for a moment, just for a minute, you can feel fuller than you really are. There's a lot I could tell you about milky coffee and the way having one after your meal warms your intestines and makes you feel so foamy, so creamy, so rich. It feels almost like food too. There's a lot I could tell you about eating little, but often, just to keep that metabolism awake, or how dates work like magic just to take these numbers off. And there's a lot I could tell you about numbers. Numbers on random scales that seem to define me over and over and over again, years at a time, just like hip bones and a thigh gap, and stomachs that only look good when sucked in. And there's a lot I could tell you about feeling like a floating whale, even when these numbers say you're underweight. Feeling like you're a massive blob, even when everyone says you look great. Bigger than everyone in the room, even when mirrors say you're skin and bones. But there's also a lot I could tell you about piles and piles and piles of food that just won't end. Mindless binges where food feels like something you're hoping would fill that void, that empty space that you still can't avoid, but maybe if you filled it, closed it, covered it with all that food, all the evil you hide inside will never be seen. And there's a lot I could tell you about never having enough, not thin enough, not full enough, not smart enough, not successful enough. There's a lot I could tell you about sparkling water that makes these magic numbers fizzle down into a place of the most delusional hope. I always wanted to be one of these girls that orders a tiny little soup, the tiniest little dish, and just sits there so petite and perfect. But then once that wish came true, I found I lost to that illusion because nothing changed, except me being paranoid that once I eat that pizza, I'll lose my chance to fill that void. And there's a lot I could tell you about memories of sparkling water I've buried deep within, masked by the bubbles I wanted to see. Too ashamed to open up about the real thoughts in my head, living in denial because that was so much easier instead. But then every mirror, every reflection of my body I could possibly see seems to be manipulating or simply lying to me. When each one feels so different and foreign and surprising all at once, I get stuck in some undefined dance where I float between overeating and intense regret, endless cycles where I almost forget what I truly look like. I can feel too fat, too small, too skinny, too big all in one day. And it's not about anything other people could possibly say. It's like my heart is hungry, starving, and too full. Eating away at something that sometimes feels too hollow, too dull. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Especially since you had to do it again. But yeah, appreciate it.